Hello and welcome to Forgotten Temples, Cambodia. It is me, Mr. B, and I am out early in the morning for I'm on the road. I'm in the area of Battambang, staying in a reasonably nice hotel. And the morning has afforded me a couple of wonderful things. The sunlight is absolutely glorious and the birds around here are prolific, so there's a wonderful bird song that's following me around. Now, I mentioned I woke up in a hotel, and when I did, I checked my mail and I got a couple of lovely messages, well, a few in fact, from a couple of lovely ladies. So they really did cheer me some. So I just wish to say, and allow me my indulgence to say hello to those lovely ladies. To Mimi Bigdy and Wara Pathan. Thank you so very much, ladies. Your messages really did lighten my heart, and I'm extremely grateful for your kind comments, as I am for all comments I receive, because it is a lonely business doing what I do, and just knowing that someone appreciates it, it just puts a spring in my step, as it did this very morning. And there's one more person I wish to thank, and that's darling Kathy. Kathy, mwah, my sweet. She's an ex-flame of mine, don't you know? And she's an absolute darling, and she's been very supportive. So Kathy, thank you. Now then, let's get on to the business of why we're here in this beautiful, beautiful morning light. And that's this temple. It's called Phnom, and it is a stonker. It's a larger temple built in the 11th century, and we have plenty to see. It's quite, well, ruined, but it has bumper bags of personality. So let's not waste any more time and let me take you around. And there it is, the entrance to Phnom. As you can tell, it is a larger temple. Now, the first thing that greets us are these steps, and they are really, really big. I mean, it is a case of leaning forward with your hand and bowing your head to its majesty as you take these giant strides upwards. Now, what we see here is quite a lot of damage. There's this place has been looted very severely, but guess what? It's just you and I that are here. We have it all to ourselves. And have a look at that, people. Wow. Now, you may take coffee or a cigarette or whatever in the morning. Me, I have one of these in the golden light. And what a way to start the day. Rightio, my temple chums, grab my hand and let us go on our little 10-minute adventure. Right, we have some oyama, some large masonry, which I'm just traversing. And here we go, the Sanctum Sanctorium, the very centre of it all. And what do we first see? Oh, hello. Oh, yes. There's some joss sticks burning. How very nice. Oh, there's a gentleman here. Suksabai.
Bye.
Hey, good morning. There you go. Just say hello to the chappie. Right. Oh, he probably thinks I'm mental. And if he does, he'd be absolutely right. Now then, let's have a look upwards to see how he's doing. And unfortunately, he's not doing so well. Moving on from the roof, we go through and we see where the problem is here. The problem is at a base level. You see, these have gone out of line. This lintel is out of line, and that is fatal, quite simply, because it must be nigh on impossible to move the base stones. Well, it is, I'd imagine, because how do you actually readjust the load that's coming from the shikra, the top pinnacle? It's a difficult one. Now, this is very interesting what we're looking at here, because it's rather large, isn't it? But in fact, I'll tell you, it's very large. It's a nice big space. This is incredibly rare. I've not seen them like this, and I much prefer it. It reminds me of being in Alexandria or somewhere in Egypt. You've got these broader, corridors, because in Angkor Wat everything is so narrow. It completely puzzles me as to how anyone got around. It seems to be futile because it has no function. And what we have, rather strangely, is a lot of graffiti as well. But this will just be a small gang of people. And the strange thing with graffiti is the older it gets, the more important it is. Like at the pyramids at Giza, they've found ancient graffiti, which has helped greatly in dating the thing. And also even the Victorian graffiti is now protected. So it's not very nice, but it kind of has a purpose, I suppose. And we move on through. I'm going to show you what the tragedy of all this is. See that in the distance? That's a modern pagoda. And there's an enormous Buddha over there I'm going to have a look at. Can you see him? Poking out through the trees. Now here is the tragedy, you see, and I wish they would spend some more money on these things, because look, if we go into here, can you see? I have to be really careful because I don't want to drop my camera, do I? Look, there's an unbelievably beautiful dragon. Now have a look at this detailing. If I put my fingernail there, you can see how fine this work is. I'm not touching it, by the way. People do ask me that. Is look here, and can you see he's in there? But, well, we can't really get an awful lot of him. But I'm very pleased to say, if I just whip round and go back the way we came, this is a fantastic space, isn't it? As you know what, I've always wanted to sleep in a temple. I will one day. Shh, don't tell anyone. But I blinking well will. Look, this is what that's all about. Have a look at this lintel. Isn't this special? Okay, and we come out the way we came, because what I'm going to do is have a quick pan around and show you some of the scenery. This is what really gets me. I'll have to be careful, don't want to fall off, do I? Have a look at this, people. This is my view this morning. I mean, come on. It is a beautiful, beautiful place to be. And you and I, we've got more temple to hunt. So let's be on our way. And there is where I've just descended from. And I have a mystery. Well, it's an engineering. It really is something of the ancients, this. You see this. You see, I'm going to clean him out. Why not? This would have married the same impression carving in another piece of stone. Then metal would have been poured into here, you see, and it would have formed a staple, kind of binding the two together. Now, pretty ingenious. But what is really weird, if we take Graham Hancock's word for it, a huge, wildly successful author, is this exact same shape was found in Egypt, in Teotihuacan in Mexico, the Aztecs, and at Machu Picchu. So 3 completely different places in the globe that have no way of sharing engineering skills, but this exact same shape, according to Hancock, can be seen at all sites. Now that is quite the mystery, isn't it? Now then, seeing as we've taken the engineering path here by showing you those grooves in the blocks where the metal staples come from, let's take a step further, because what we have here is the way these walls were put together. Notice there's a lump that comes out here. Notice that this one here is more of a wedge shape. Note the way the lines cross and go in all these strange places. It's the same down here. Now, what is very interesting at this point is those metal staples that I showed you And this exact, and I mean exact same style of building is found around the world in so many ancient cultures, be it ancient Egypt, a place I've been to and absolutely adored, be it the Mayan pyramids, which I've also been to and very much adored, and Machu Picchu. And they have exactly the same. They have the grooves in the stone with the metal staples that would have been poured in, and the exact same design of building walls and temples. Now, what is interesting here is this engineering skill developed across the globe, and there's no way they could have communicated. But there is an enormous camp that has hundreds of millions of people in it that say, well, there's a shared knowledge and it must have come from a single source. And what they call out is Atlantis or ancient aliens. And I say to them, I really enjoy your shows, but I'm terribly sorry, you're wrong, because what you are doing is you're underestimating man. Because it doesn't take an awful long time to realize that if you put blocks one on top of another in a regular form, maybe how the Tower of Babel was built, it just falls down. I mean, we do it as kids with building blocks. You soon learn that putting irregular shapes, because you don't have the mortar to glue them together as we have today, is you put irregular shapes, then they fit. And the other benefit you have is when you're building these walls and you need a bit that's about that big, you get a bit that's about that big and maybe knock a piece off and slot it in. You don't have this huge procession of it being exact. And the only time you do need to get exact is when you're doing the facing walls, the outside walls, and they're beautifully, beautifully finished. And this is another thing the ancient alien camp jumps into. It says, well, have a look at these walls. And they have this expression they use all the time, you can't get a razor blade between them. Well, again, you're absolutely right. You can't get a razor blade. But what they're doing is looking at the other side of this wall, which is the very finished, it's the polished product. It's the outside. It's like the wallpaper on your walls. That's what you want people to see. So you do it nicely and you finish it beautifully. What they're not showing you is the other side. And I can get my finger in here all over the place. It's absurd for them to point a camera at one thing and say, look at the precision, because of course it is. That is what we're showing to people, our mighty temple and how wondrous it is, and look at how good we're building. But nip round the corner and you will see a different tale, still one of incredible engineering. But to say that that knowledge came from some mystical land called Atlantis or our chums in the sky, then you're doing these people a bit of a disservice. So there you go, that was Phnom, and it was an absolute delight, wasn't it? We learnt a bit about engineering, we saw some fantastic lintels, and what a wonderful start to the day. The tragedy here is it has been looted horrifically. But to me, that doesn't take away any of the adventure, because it's all about the sunlight, the twittering of the birds, and getting out and about and doing something different with your life. This has been Mr. B of Forgotten Temples of Cambodia, and I ask you, next time, why not take me by the hand and enjoy me for another 10-minute adventure? Until then, I wish you nothing but the very best.